Welcome to the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Podcast.
My name is Jen Clark.
And I'm Elka Clark. We are a mother-daughter team who started our Zazzle e-commerce businesses over 10 years ago and have sold over $15 million worth and counting of products on Zazzle with our designs on them.
We had so many people asking us how we did this, so we created the Profit by Design Academy, a 12-month coaching program where you will implement the 5 strategies we have used for success on Zazzle.
When we aren't coaching our amazing clients to reach millions in sales on Zazzle, we love cooking food from places all over the world that we've traveled to, jet-setting to our next dream destination, spending quality time with our close friends and family, or having fun creating our next bestsellers in our own Zazzle businesses.
In this podcast, we share actionable steps you can take to make money in your online business using Zazzle. Each episode will take you one step closer to creating that perfect business, which will give you the freedom to live your dream life.
We believe that you can have anything you dream of as long as you work smarter, not harder. We're here to give you the tools you need to make your dream life happen. So let's get started. Well, hey there, it's Elka.
And Jen, and welcome to another episode of the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Podcast. And today we have a lovely guest speaker. Her name is Gloria, and she is the podcast owner and speaker of the Inner Child podcast, and she is a relationship coach. And so she's going to be joining us today talking about how she helps her clients and then also how she can help you, the listener, with relationship coaching and also the inner child work, which is really interesting because I actually personally have never done or heard of inner child work until I met Gloria and started speaking with her.
And how does this relate to Zazzle? It relates to Zazzle because what we've noticed with our clients that take our coaching program and do our 5 strategies, we've noticed that, it's the same 5 strategies, the same teaching, it's the same environment, but for some reason, some people do much better than others. And then when we sort of catch them in our mindset coaching call, part of the Profit by Design Academy that we have, we realize that a lot of the work that has to be done is actually on the mindset. And where does that start in the inner child? So we're hoping that Gloria can give us some really great insights as to that it's okay, first of all, to have these types of things that you want to work on, and that they will give you definitely benefits down the road, not just for relationships, but also for your life in general, and allow you to hear the words, see the lessons, implement them, believe in yourself so that you can achieve what you want to achieve just because you're taking the training, not because you have a lot of stuff that is carried forward that is holding you back. Does I help say that properly? Does that make sense? Because it's always such a touchy subject too. And we're doing a lot of mindset work right now and healing inner child. And who knew? Because you can only go so far before you kind of hit a wall and then you realize, I need help, but then you go that's embarrassing, or it's, tough to work through this. I don't want to talk about it, that kind of thing. So I want to get into that a little bit, but I also want to get into how you've helped clients and how they've, not just in their dating, but in aspect, you probably heard that or seen that in every aspect of their life. It starts with dating because that's I want to have someone in my life, but then you realize, okay, I'm also really a much better person, right? Yeah.
Thank you for that beautiful introduction, Jen and Elton.
You're welcome.
And you guys are awesome, by the way. Aren't these guys great? Yeah, absolutely. So inner child work, oh man, where do I even start? So although right now I do specialize in relationships, so I specifically work with high achievers who seem to be doing well in their careers, but they're just not able to attain that secure, healthy relationship. And we really look at the childhood pieces that are leading them to repeat these patterns. But I'll be completely honest, I've been doing this work for about a decade now. I started off as a therapist. And before I was a therapist, I was a children's therapist. And so I got to see in my own work that these same patterns that we're carrying from our childhoods comes with us in every single aspect of our lives, into our business, into our relationships, into our financial and our physical health. I love this quote that grown-ups are just big kids walking around in grown-up bodies, because let's be real, that's really what it was. And, if we're talking about the business aspect of things, there were probably little traumas or big traumas that happened to you growing up that is now manifesting themselves as self-sabotage as an adult.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is. And that's one of the ways that inner child work can really help you unravel the reasons behind why you're doing these things that seem to be getting in your own way and how to move past it. So, yeah, that's what I do.
Very cool.
Fascinating, really fascinating. I personally have realized that that's what I do. I like, and if there's something that haven't healed yet, I actually still act out like a 4-year-old, even while
Yeah.
we've been doing a
I'm
lot of
almost
work.
60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been doing a lot of work. And I never knew that that was actually, let's say, a thing, quote unquote, because I just thought that's how I acted. P.S. I also feel like I'm still, 22 years old. And I know that Alka always tells me that she's my sister, right?
Yeah.
Where like we're very much younger in our own hearts and minds. And as you said, grown-ups are just kids in an adult body and we're all learning. And it's really interesting to see that procession. And I didn't know that you were a child therapist before. And so that's really interesting. And that's like confirming, let's even say, that inner child work that you can see, okay, the 4-year-old still has the same problems as the 30-year-old has the same problems as the 4-year-old. That's very true. That we bring that, those experiences, life experiences through to where we are today. So that's really interesting.
So I know that we talked about a few things that we were going to cover beforehand, but I want to get a little deeper as to like how you help people, because we obviously, the first thing is probably being recognized or having recognized that you need the help as a person. But then what do you suggest? Like, do they just like listen to your podcast for a little bit, or do they realize, okay, I need to have Gloria talk to me and have sessions, or how does it work?
Yeah, definitely. So inner child work, it's a bit broad. So I really like to break it down to simple steps. And you can find this on my podcast. But one of the things I teach people is there are actually 4 main inner child wounds that come with you in childhood. So these are called the abandonment wound, the trust wound, the guilt wound, and the neglect wound. And more often than not, if you're finding some kind of self-sabotage behavior in your life, whether it's business or relationships, it usually boils down to one of these 2 things, where you have a past wound about being abandoned or being left behind, about not being able to trust something or someone, feeling guilty for your success or your happiness, or being neglected as a kid, or having certain emotional needs not met in you as a kid. And now that's playing out in certain ways. So it usually boils down to those 4. I have a free guide that you can take a look at which one of these wounds.
Well, we're going to definitely link that in our show notes.
We're going to link that definitely.
Okay.
Today.
Let us know about that one, and we'll link it for everyone.
Yeah.
But I could share oh, sorry, go ahead.
Keep going.
I want you to keep going, but I was going to actually just ask you a quick question and say, how does one person, let's say, if they're not actually in tune or even maybe feel comfortable thinking about those types of things? Because, if you want to actually dive deep into thinking if I was abandoned or if I feel abandonment or if I feel guilty, etc., how do you ease people into opening it up and actually being comfortable, let's say, speaking to you or listening to your podcast and actually admitting that they've, because it's a very touchy subject. A lot of people are now becoming a little bit more comfortable because we're having these conversations. But when I was younger, let's say 10 years ago, I don't think that I would ever do this inner work. And especially my mother, Elka, from a different generation, you were told, or she was told, to keep everything inside, right? And not actually explore those possibilities.
Suck it up, as they say.
Yeah.
What's your problem?
Well, I think you're completely right. To take complete ownership of your own journey and to take responsibility for it, I think it's going to be hard no matter what. So I'm not going to sugarcoat inner child work. Some of the layers can be very, very difficult because we are looking at some of the most painful and vulnerable places in your life. It usually takes, not always, but oftentimes it takes, sometimes hitting rock bottom at some point to really acknowledge that, okay, this is an area that I want to fix. I can give you an example. I had a very successful client named Wendy, who was, top 5% realtor in the real estate business. And originally she came to me because she was in her late 30s and has never had a healthy relationship, like ever in her life, despite having all of this success in real estate. And it was difficult for her to have to face the fact that a lot of this had to do with her dad not being there as a kid, right? Or her mom neglecting her and invalidating her, which led her to choose partners that actually reminded her of these similar dynamics. So the interesting part is, even though she came to me because of the relationship, what we also discovered is she also had a huge money wound from childhood too. She was raking in all these dollars, but it was just the money was falling through her fingers. Like the money would come in and then it just disappeared, right? She couldn't hold on to the money and had no idea that this was also related to her childhood because growing up, her parents, who were immigrants, never let her spend that extra $2 on the nicer dress or to get the drinks. And so she had this internalized belief that she's not supposed to hold on to money, which led to self-sabotage. And so the same roots to her relationship problems were also the same roots to her money problems. And it was really just about working through what happened to you. What was that past conditioning? Yeah. So that's just an example of how these different layers can work together. And yeah, it can be hard work. But, what I will say to that is what you're doing right now, if not harder than doing the healing.
Yeah.
Sabotaging is pretty hard too. Right? Working for years and not being able to reach your goal because you don't believe that you can have it, that's pretty hard too. Right? So I like to reframe this as, what kind of hard do you want? Do you want that temporary hard, that temporary discomfort of looking within and finally fixing those wounds? Or do you want that long-term hard where you're just going to live a life knowing that what you want is always on the other side? So yeah, it's a matter of how you look at it.
I love that. I resonated with so much of that. I mean, because I especially like that it was different than I expected when you said that she was losing money. I expected you to say it was something to do with, proving to herself that she can do it or whatever. But yeah, it's really interesting how even the same situation can have a different meaning or reason behind it. Personal, so it's personal for every single person. It's different. Even though we're doing the same thing, we're self-sabotaging.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So I think that's if anyone's listening or watching this on YouTube, just know, first of all, look at Gloria. She's like the kind of person that you would just say, I can trust her. I can talk to her. I can open up to her. And she seems to she's really good at what she does. So that's, first of all, I get that just from you.
Thank you.
And I feel that's I just think that that's the most important part, is to be able to trust someone so that you can start to validate your own existence that happened to you based on what you perceived in your entire life. And someone may come along to you and go well, this happened, but it happens to everybody. So that's very dismissive, right? Which is not something that you want to hear. And it just keeps validating your story that you're on your own and isolated and so on. And I think that that's so important to just even reach out and talk. And sometimes even I've had this experience with a couple of people that I know that they don't feel heard. So if you can find someone, do you feel that that's a good thing? If you can find someone that fits with you, that you feel like you could be heard by them, that's already the best way to go about it. Because even sometimes you can sort of figure a few things out on your own, but you need to be guided and you need to allow that person to ask you those hard questions and remind you of certain situations in your life. Does that sort of where you go with your process?
Oh, yeah. I just resonate with every single point. I really feel like there are certain things in life that you can learn by yourself. For example, when I wanted to build this desk, right, I read the instructions on IKEA because I didn't have this emotional wound attached to it. But when I was learning how to, have my first healthy relationship, when I haven't grown up with any role models of healthy relationships, it was very hard for me to do it by myself because I had no conceptual understanding of what it's supposed to look like. For people who can relate to that sort of experience, it really helps having a mentor who's been on that exact journey. It can show you on the other side what's possible for you, but also, the unique steps of things that a regular person might not even think of, right, as a challenge. But because you have been through that situation, that someone who comes from the same background wouldn't even think of doing this step or using the strategy. And I think it's the same for you guys. When you're building up a business using Zazzle, maybe you've never heard of it before. And I mean, how much time are you going to save just by following the steps of someone who's already done the journey, who's already found the success that you're looking for. Those are the kind of role models that will help you.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, you just don't know what you don't know, right? Even though you think you know, because you've read a book or you've done this, but it's really important to get to with someone who has done it, had experience themselves, who can be the mentor, but also can be a really great coach because they've done it with a lot of other people and can help them through the process, right? And those the coach and mentor always get sort of blurred as to what they are, but mentors really are someone who's done it, the work, achieved what you want to do, and the coach is the one who's helped others do it, even if they haven't done it on their own. And I think, that makes you just like that perfect person for that.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I want to bring it back to Zazzle in a way because I want to get some advice from you on what our listeners can do, because let's position it properly. I'm not making any assumptions here. I think the majority of people who come to Zazzle are extremely creative, extremely amazingly talented, but they've had a lot of hard knocks because we've had that, artists can't make money scenario going on through their life, and get a real job. All of that, we really experience that a lot with our clients that come through our training. And also, most likely, we're empaths, introverts, and we take on this, objective that we want to make money with our creativity. We want to prove everyone right, and then also feel satisfied in our own being that we can earn a living doing what we love, which is really just the desire that is the innate piece. But we're put into from a right brain into a left brain situation. And that's already hard enough. And then we bring along all of our emotional things that we haven't yet dealt with. So how would you help people that are in that situation now that you know that that's pretty much what the whole group of us are, including myself?
Let's first say that we love artists here. My partner is actually a very successful artist who makes more than 6 figures every year. So it's complete BS that artists can't make money.
Yes, exactly.
That's a whole other, belief thing to look into. So we love artists here. I actually used to be a musician as well. So we love the left and right brainers. But I think the most helpful piece of advice I can give to anyone listening is to pay attention to how you're feeling when these challenges are coming up. So whether you're self-sabotaging, maybe you're just not implementing for some reason, or maybe you keep, repeating these patterns that are not leading to any sales in your business, whatever the feeling is, to make a connection between how you're feeling now to when this feeling first showed up in your life. And I could almost guarantee you it's probably something that happened in your childhood. So, I worked with clients who maybe had a visibility issue, and it wasn't really about the strategies. They clearly knew how to run a business, but they would just shrink away from the camera, right? They wouldn't sell, they wouldn't show up. And it was what was happening here? And the connection was when she made a mistake during a school play in grade 4.
Oh, wow.
When the spotlight was on her. And from that moment on, she has never felt confident in front of the camera. And so when she feels nervous on social media or, promoting her website or whatever, she momentarily regresses back to being that 4th grader, right? And those same feelings come up. So making those connections is so, so important. And that probably should be the first thing that you're doing.
That's a really great piece of advice. Yeah, Jen and I were so camera shy when we first started. I mean, practice makes perfect. And so you get better and better at it when you practice. But as you're talking about this story, it's I think I still need to heal that little inner child of mine that did something similar where, don't show up, don't be too visible, don't. So I might be signing up for you.
Yes, love it.
Yeah.
And we all have wounds like that, right?
Yeah.
Nobody grows up with a perfect childhood. I've definitely peed myself during a school play or something. And it's just, it's important to be aware of these things.
It's hard for everybody.
Running your lives.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, I can relate to that is that whenever my mom and I get in an argument, I turn into my 16-year-old self who's afraid of getting grounded and sent to my room. But it's very true. And you don't actually catch yourself in the moment when it's happening. You think that it's normal. It becomes part of your everyday life. And to have that realization and to catch yourself in that moment and say, okay, this is what's actually happening. I don't need to be reacting or thinking like this. I can better myself, and I need to process what's actually, my past trauma or my past experiences or anything that has influenced us. It's really lightening, I would say. And actually for myself, because I've been doing sort of inner child work as well, it feels like a huge weight has been lifted off your shoulders, because you subconsciously, as I really liked what you said in terms of the suffering, what's the biggest pain. And I related it to myself. It's like, what suffering is more to suffer in, right? Would you suffer doing the work, or would you suffer being in the situation that you're right now? What is better in the long run? And for me, I always like to stay in my comfortable zone. And we teach our clients as well, you need to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because if you are uncomfortable in a situation, it means you're growing and you're progressing. If you're comfortable, you're just staying in the same space.
Yes.
But within your situation and your teachings, being comfortable in the same space is actually also equating to suffering too. And, like stinting your growth as well. So that's really great that, you're helping clients and helping people move forward. And as you said, although the ride might not be easy and it might not be all flowers and roses, it definitely will open up the possibilities going forward. And I can personally say that you feel more confident, you feel more energetic of life, you feel more excited. And then speaking about relationships, whether that be with a partner or with yourself, you feel much more secure and open. And then also connected too with yourself or with a partner. And then within business too, you feel more comfortable and confident making those business decisions, hitting those possible 6 figures, 7 figures, right? And it's just, you have, a new breath of life in you, which is really great.
I love that so much. I've always said that relationships are just extensions of you, right? They can't fix your life. They simply magnify what's already there. And businesses are the same thing.
Yeah.
They're just an extension of you. And whatever problems you're bringing in from your personal life are going to find their way in the way that you practice business some way or another. So inner work is also investing in your business.
Yeah,
That's so
very true and very powerful.
Well, that's our definite tagline out of all of this. It's also investing in your business. Well, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur, even if you had like a business where you had to talk to people and tell people what to do, that energy of whatever your insecurities are or your things that you haven't yet worked out are all going to reflect back on them. And it'll change the course of how your success pans out, right? Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Gloria, for all your wonderful tips. We want to wrap up really quickly, but ask you a fun fact about yourself or share something for all of our listeners. And or if you wanted to give any more information, we're going to definitely put the links
where can we find you?
We're going to find tell people where to find you. And then we'll put the links in the description of this video on YouTube and then also on our podcast, so you can download anything free from Gloria and or listen to her podcast. I'm going to definitely subscribe myself.
Thank you so much. Well, fun fact about myself, I wear a lot of long sleeves, so sometimes I even forget, but I'm actually covered in tattoos from head to toe.
Cool.
Yes, and I've got a huge Sailor Moon tattoo on my right leg, who is a testament to my own inner child who loved Sailor Moon growing up and is one of my favorite heroines of all time. So that's a fun fact about me. And of course, I have tons of free content about inner child healing on the Inner Child podcast. Similar to your podcast, can be found everywhere. I talk a lot about breaking that cycle of toxic relationships, but we talk more generally about how these past traumas and wounds are showing up in your life as adults. So yeah, definitely go check me out. I'm very active on Instagram by Gloria Zhang. I've got some freebies and free classes there if you're interested.
Wonderful. Well, we will definitely put all those links in for sure. Are you going to say?
Actually, I totally forgot now what I was going to say. I was just so fascinated by the Sailor Moon.
I know. Well,
because we used to love Sailor Moon when Jen was growing up. Pokemon was a big deal, and we watched all the time. And
Sailor Moon. Yeah, and I loved her because she was also blonde too. And I was like, Sailor Moon. I definitely resonated with her. But yeah, any of those you and I both grew up around the same age group. I'm 32 this year. I don't know exactly how old you are, but
I'm turning 31.
31, yes.
In 2 weeks.
Hey, congratulations. Happy birthday. Congratulations. I don't know why I said that, but yeah, that's exciting. Yes. Well, happy birthday in a week from now.
Thank you.
But yeah, we both grew up in that era of, Pokemon, Sailor Moon. Like I loved all of those and it was definitely a huge part of my childhood. I don't have any tattoos.
Girl.
I don't have any tattoos personally, but if I did, I'd probably get a Pikachu and a Sailor Moon on somewhere on my body.
I love that.
Yeah,
Love
that's
that.
true.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Gloria, for joining us. And we definitely have been enlightened with all of your wonderful, wonderful information that you've provided us and our listeners. And yeah, thanks for being with us.
Check out the Inner Child podcast that Gloria has going weekly, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And that's what I wanted to say. Tell us
Yeah.
about the award that you've won for your podcast.
Oh, yeah.
We've been nominated for some awards for mental health and alternative health. So we're very excited about that. And this year, the podcast has hit the top 50 and top 100
That's right.
across the world, in several categories. So we're very excited about that.
Woohoo.
Wonderful.
Well,
That's
congratulations.
Yes.
It's obviously a
Thank you.
very needed topic, and you're doing a fabulous job of helping open that discussion and helping people heal. So thank you so much for allowing us to showcase you on our podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for having me here, ladies. I love your podcast and all the work you've been doing as well.
Thank
And
you.
you can catch these two on my podcast. We did a
That's true.
podcast swap.
Yes.
Yes.
We were guest speakers on Gloria's podcast. So when that gets released, then you can listen to us on hers. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Gloria. And thank you, everyone listening. And we will see you in the next episode.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Podcast with us, Jen and Elka Clark.
We hope this episode has given you actionable steps to building your online business that gives you the monthly cash flow you want while working less and living more.
If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a minute to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Each review helps us reach more entrepreneurs like you working to create a profitable e-commerce online business.
Follow us on Instagram at Ms. Jen Clark and at Elka Clark and DM us with your biggest takeaway from today's episode. See you back here next week.